All right, here we go. It's 3 in the afternoon. My name is Alex Wilkins. I'm the Rotary Public Image Coordinator for those that are joining us for the first time today. I do very much appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. This class is on building your public image team. And Joe Pizor is going to do this for us. He's waving at us in the middle there. I'm going to turn this over to him in ever a few seconds, but I just wanted you to know that Joe is from the district 7305, and that's the southwest corner of the state of Pennsylvania. And he is in the Washington, Pennsylvania Rotary Club. Joe is a powerhouse for us. So he's one of many that work full-time and do Rotary at the same time. So Joe, it is all you, sir. Take it.
Thank you, sir, and very much appreciate that. Hey, everybody, and thank you all for joining and coming to so much public image on a Friday. We very much appreciate that. This is a great break for me. It's tax season, and I'm a financial planner, so we help our CPA teams out a lot with all the things that you guys need for your taxes, but this is a nice break for me today on a Friday at All Tax Hallows Eve. So very excited to talk about something fun and get into some stuff with all you guys. And we have a little bit of time, so I would love to get some feedback from the group. This seems like we have a lot of high power public image people, and I want to get some feedback from you guys so I can keep adding on to this presentation. So if you do need this, I know we have, oh, Pat's coming in. If we have some folks that are the public image chair for your district, I can get you these slides if you need to take this on a road show for your clubs, if you want to do a training on like club PI team development. So some of this is a little bit light, I'm sure, for you guys, but I hope that there's some benefit as we roll through it and everybody finds a little bit. So with that being said, so this is our team building module of the thing. Oop, I might have gone the wrong one. I think I'm on the wrong slides. Let me jump out, jump back in. That's why we love Canva, everybody, right? All right, right presentation. Here we go. That's why we don't want to use the same slide, right? So before I get started, just real quick, if you guys want to bring your video on or off, you're more than welcome to. If you want to keep unmuted, you're more than welcome to. I'll let you know if somebody gets disruptive, but I like to keep it pretty open when I present. But if there are any good tips while I'm going through this that you just can't wait for, just throw your hand up or throw it in the chat, and we'll stop and get on it, because we left a little bit of extra time for banter and all that. So now that I'm on the right presentation, let's get going. So all right, so the first part of this presentation, like I said, is a little bit light, but I do think it is a good place to solidify what your PI teams are to do. Now, for many of you, I'm sure that you solely are the PI team for your club, district, or whatever. So I do appreciate that, but we want to change that. And our goal as your zone leadership with public image is to help empower you to get more folks on the helper list. And even if you are the chair of that committee for whatever level you're serving, helping build better teams and building the fabric of how a multimedia team works is going to be beneficial for you, because you're not going to have to do everything long term, and that's good. So when we talk to folks, I want to get our message across on what we're trying to do first, because I think a lot of times we get, as public image folks, we get kind of, hey, you're the social media person, and it is much more than that. It is much more than that. We need to recognize that. So what we're going to cover in the first part of this is how we do the club team and what are our jobs, right? Your club team's job is to educate the members, to make sure they know the rules, right? We talked about that brand guideline and how do we, make sure that we're doing everything the right way. But it's also to do it a good way. So educating the clubs on what's expected of them, what you need from them, and what else they can be doing to support your public image committee is important. Second is to advocate, right? We want to be good advocates for Rotary. So as a team, how are we training people, and then inspiring? So we'll go through that. All right, so reviewing resources. We spent a lot of time today talking about the various resources, and it is going to be a little bit of a challenge on your part, but I would encourage everybody, if you're involved with public image, take the time to at least go through the websites, all of them, from the zone website, your rotary.org, your DACDB. They all have very interesting little quibits on them. And also the Learning Center has been rebuilt and it has tons and tons and tons of good PI stuff in there. So knowing at least what's out there, you're going to be able to be an information broker to all these different club members, because they're all going to need something different from you, or just educated in a different way. And if you're a mecca for all these things, public image and Rotary, you're going to be a much more dangerous Rotarian or beneficial Rotarian. So meet with your teammates at the district and club, meet with your teammates at the district. So I know it's a little bit challenging, but if you pre-plan out your committee meetings, they're much better chance of people attending them, and have something good to go over with them. So what our goal is when if you're the district public image chair and you're running that committee, set those meetings in advance and make sure you have something to do at each of the meetings. So when you do your annual planning, and we can help train you or give you some suggestions, or even give you a roadmap or a checklist, I believe we have, that will get you laid out for the year. So you're not guessing, hey, it's September, what should we be pushing or educating on with our trainings or club engagements. And lastly, educating yourself and doing a club checkup. We did this at my district, my public image chair for my personal district or my home district, and it's very, very useful just to at least know where are we at. Now we're a sub-rural district, so we're like half urban, half pretty rural in southwestern Pennsylvania. But I know that if you went through and surveyed all the clubs in a district, you would be very surprised with where you're at. And then it'll at least give you a running tally of like, who do we need to speak to? And it is okay to have those conversations of, you have a Facebook page you haven't updated in 6 years. Maybe it's time to let it go. And that's just keeping all of us in check and making sure that somebody at the club is getting contacted. So if you're at a district level or at a regular club level, please run a club checkup on yourself. And if you need those checklists, we have those for you. The second that these PI committees are going to do is advocate. So if you're a good advocate, you're engaging with your district newsletter. So when we're talking to these folks on the teams, it's, hey, the club did something. Who's doing the press release for our local newspaper, perhaps the larger city newspaper, and the district? And guess what? They can be the same publication. So somebody's got to have that job. And I know that one of our things with new Rotarians as we bring them on is giving them a job. And I know that a lot of you are strapped right now. What I would say is a lot of the folks that I've spoke to and my peers at the PI levels, although some of us do not have people to delegate things to, what I find often is people aren't willing to let go. And you have to start letting go little by little, and maybe giving a couple of people access to the social media and a couple of people access to different methods of communication. So next is district committees. So if you have, whether you're at a club level or district level, just make sure you're being heard when you're having these district or club meetings. And that if you're a district rep, PI rep, if you need us, we will come do meetings with you, but get out to those clubs and see them. And I know this sounds a little bit silly, and I feel silly saying this, but lobby for time at your pets, RLIs, district conferences, etc. I think, and I'm sorry, I think it was Renee was speaking about RLI, and I just finished my RLI. They're very open to having trained public image folks come in for those modules. And if you are a part of RLI or a trainer or facilitator, you need help with that, we are here dedicated to doing this as our Rotary job. So just make sure that you're lobbying for time. And I appreciate, 5 or 10 minutes at this or that, but try to get good time, because people, believe it or not, we have more respondents for public image stuff than we do for any other of our chambers of Rotary. So, use that to your advantage, and, you can also help with the other areas as well. If you need help with trainings, or hey, I want to do a good solid training for my clubs in my district, I want to offer this, we have a lot of this done. So as we always say in Rotary, don't reinvent the wheel. We have a lot of cool resources for you. I would especially encourage you, get to that district, the zone page. Our sister zones, 33 and 34, both have rock star teams and have lots and lots and lots of resources, toolkits, and just roadmaps on how to get where you got to go with this, depending on what your needs are. So anyway, all right. And lastly, inspire. So with these teams, folks, what I found it most beneficial is keeping it realistic. Having somebody come in and try to have them take over all the public relations for an established legacy club is daunting. So you often need to piece these things together. And I find that the public image folks work better in teams. And oftentimes, yes, you do need to have one person, but if you're at a club level or if you're a district, encourage them to establish teams instead of individuals to be the chairs. And I know that we're having struggles just to get people registered as the PI chair, but we are all public image folks, regardless of what we think. If you're a Rotarian, you represent the brand and you must, carry it the right way. So that's our job. So anyway, if you need this, go ahead. Let's get into some more meat though. So that's for, club level committee stuff. And I think that we all understand what a club level public image committee does, but let's talk about building that team. Whether you're whatever level you're at, building these teams is challenging because there's a lot of fun stuff. We all love Canva. Everybody loves playing on Canva and making presentations and all that, me especially, as you can see. But we all have different skill sets and we all have a different message. Hearing Quanta's message today, it was much different than Bob's message or Renee's message, and that's good, right? But training our folks and how to tell the message with some level of consistency is the challenge, right? Because we're all telling a different Rotary story, but we need that consistency of like, here's who we are, what we do, and how to join us. Right. So let's go on to building that team. So that's your quick start plan. And let's talk about our PI team roadmap. So like we spoke about before, many of you are on islands and you put yourselves there, and that's okay. I did it too. But you got to find some folks to help you. So building that culture of, no, we operate as a team and it's not just me. I'm not the only Facebook person. It's, we have 3 people in our club that can interface with all of these platforms simultaneously, because guess what? If I go down and Alex is on a plane, Ashley is doing that post for us or what have you. So it's an interfaced team, not a siloed person, because what have we seen over the past 3 to 4 years? The club public image chairs have turned over faster than they probably should have, because most clubs are kind of dumping that responsibility. Let me go to the chat. Yes, we will get the slides to you. So sorry to pause there. So don't be on an island, and start it at the district and club level, right? Like, this is a team sport. Everybody in your club is on this team, whether they want to be or not. Whether you're on it formally, we'll let you know. And by the way, this presentation is done as a memory palace. So if you think of it, right, let's think of the people and they're all going on the island and see who remembers them at the end. So if you redo this presentation, you can take this and redo it as such. So next, like we talked about, run the club checkup. So what are the things that we want to check up on? I'll open this chat up. You guys tell me if you're building out a club public image checklist, which we have for you, but what are some of the things you think would be important to check on that? Just unmute and go ahead at it. I'm going to call on Renee. Oh, there you go.
Up-to-date website.
So what do you mean by that? What are some things that you would look for if you were reviewing somebody's website?
To make sure that the content's current. Sometimes the giveaways, you look down at the bottom, if they've got a copyright on it, and you see copyright 2018, they've done nothing with it. If they've got the logo from 2 years ago on it, or a president's message from 2 years ago. My club, I'm groaning because my club is over 100 members and the website is absolutely horrible. There's a service year booklet on there from 2008 because stuff gets posted and then not taken down. And so
not in the history archive part. We have a history archive part, like, oh, that should have been in there.
Yeah, and so it's cringeworthy, but it's, indicative of problem that many clubs have, because someone who always did it's no longer helping out as much as they used to, and it just sits idle. So
another good reason why we have multiple people across all platforms. But thank you for sharing that. Suyan, it seems like, and I think there's some, with a lot of, and maybe it's new Rotarians, maybe it's not, but a lot of people think, oh, you have a 100-person club, you have a 200-person club, or whatever it is, you guys must have this all figured out. That is certainly not the case, right? Like, we have lots of clubs with all kinds of different demographics, and the skill sets are varied. So like we spoke about, some of these clubs, like I think Renee was saying, we need some technical help. So she's identified, we need technicians. We don't have a people that have very fast thumbs, and, we need those people. So that's kind of how I can identify new members, but also what skill sets do we need in this team? And by the way, clubs, you can combine your efforts, right? If let's say you and your sister club and your brother club all have, one or two good people, like let's make sure we're cross promoting because we're all in the same sandbox, right? Like I see a lot of clubs that are literally right next to each other that never cross post each other's stuff. I'm like, you guys are doing the same thing. So that's good. Thank you for that. Now let's move on to okay. So you guys know the every year the theme, right? We get a new theme every year. Is it a good idea to use that theme on these websites?
If you're going to keep your website updated, absolutely.
You're going to keep it updated, but technically the annual theme is kind of an internal thing. So like you could see it at
Okay.
district conferences, but with outward facing, we really kind of want to stay away from that. So just a heads up, that was a surprise to me. But Sue-Ann, too, to your point with the copyright, if you're the district public image chair and you're running an audit, make yourself a form where you could add all this data in. Like we use Google Forms when we did ours, and it was very easy to compile the data and see, where are we at, get statistics on it, but then access that data so you could let your clubs know, who are the bad boys. Now, I wouldn't encourage you to embarrass any of them at a district conference or anything like that, but if you wanted to, that's totally on you. So anyway, I'm just joking. We don't embarrass folks, we encourage them, right? So, all right. All right, this is my favorite slide. So build your crew, right? Like, and if I ask you guys, I'm sure you all have an opinion of which Golden Girl was the one that was in charge. We all argue about that. That's common amongst us millennials. But, and I get it. I love Canva. I like messing around on Canva, but let me tell you something. On our committee at the zone level, I'm not that guy. Ashley's that person. She's the rock star graphic designer. She's the rock star person that does this for a living. So even though I love playing on Canva, I got to back off. Right. And I need to find what my skill set is with our committee, and we need to delegate that, even though we back each other up, or, Alex is backing me up on this right now. So just keep that in mind and just be honest with your skill sets. If you have 5 rock star kids that are really good with the tech, but they're really flighty because they, are our age, maybe you need a couple of more senior Rotarians that can, work it out. So just figure out who it is and set that committee intentionally. Like Ashley said before, we're not looking for all the Rotarians, we're looking for the right Rotarians. And the same thing with your public image committee. This is a very important committee, and it's doing one of, if not the most important thing in Rotary right now, and that's reinventing the brand. And we need the right people in these roles, because if they can't eloquently relay these messages, we need the folks that can. So find your Blanche. I think Blanche was in charge, but find your Blanche. And then if you need some rock stars, get them. And you don't need to have these folks completely at every committee meeting. And if somebody has a specific skill set, engage them just for that. And that's great engagement for Rotarians, because remember, you're training your replacements, right? We need good folks at the zone level, and people cycle through these committees, and we just want everybody to be a part of this, filtration process. And hey, what a great way for, tax season, right? And what a good way to engage people as they're climbing the Rotary chain, because this is something that's engageable for a lot of younger demographics, because they're comfortable with social media and creating the content and all that fun stuff. So anyway, let me mute. All right, like we said, do not reinvent the wheel. Alex gave you some toolkits. Billy, I think, gave you some toolkits. Newsletters, right? The district newsletters are one of the most underutilized recruiting and marketing tools that we have. Many of the districts that we service on our committee, they do really good, well-developed newsletters. Nobody reposts them, nobody's sharing them, and nobody's using them as recruiting tools. When people see the breadth of your district, they understand the quality and the quantity of the people doing it. And I think that's a really underlying, I know that's a little out of place, but I wanted to let you know that. So training access, the Learning Center, like I said, all of our trainings, all of our co-zones trainings, all of the zones across the entire country, you can access all their stuff and get these things. So I know we're all a little zoomed out, and we do appreciate you guys coming to a live meeting before we can do real stuff together again. But there's some very well done trainings on there. So just check it out, and don't be afraid to forward those out to people, because I think that now that a lot of the trainings have been captured and are online accessible, it's a lot easier just to flip that link to somebody and be like, hey, I know your club's website's kind of like out of date. Here's a cool thing on that, you know, so feel free to use those resources and push them out. Our posts, you know, there's a lot of redone posts. I know a lot, many of the clubs that I've seen, and to go to that, we were talking about your Rotary story, right? I found many clubs have success with the People of Action template. Anybody use that yet in Rotary Club Central or any of those, where you can go in and put your name, you know, the word, and then put a little blurb about. If every club just did that, I think it would be a great way to start your club story. And you may have your own spin on your club story or what have you, but it's a good starting place for every Rotarian in your club to know the club elevator pitch. And you can do that by building out your People of Action. And that's a good place to, you know, it's a nice soft way to get into your elevator pitch. But I know Renee could like do 5 of them, I'm sure. And they're all different a little bit. So anyway, pets, district conference, and then take ours, right? We have these trainings and stuff ready for you. Just go redo our training. We would be flattered if you redid any of our trainings. So us or any other public image person in the world. So, all right, coach them up, right? And I say this as nicely as I can, and I get it, right? Our job is to make sure that this stuff is the way it's supposed to be. Do it in a polite way. We're not Rotary cops, we're Rotary coaches. So if we take a coaching mentality with it, and I haven't seen a lot of this, but I think we've ran into a couple of public image folks that are a little bit tough because they're taking their role seriously. And we do appreciate you taking your role seriously, and we want you to get things as well represented as possible, but do it in a coaching voice, not a cop voice, if that's okay. So another thing that we've had a lot of success with these teams, if a team just can't get going, challenge them to rally around their club's thing, right? Every single Rotary club out there has their baby, right? We all love talking about our baby. We all love showing it off. We all love our baby. But most clubs can't talk about their baby. And most clubs that have either a starting public image committee, or they're just kind of getting their feet under, like, what should we do? What should our calendar look like? What things do we need to do? Start here. Cover our baby, get it promoted, tell our story, tell our elevator speech, and now we can go from there. Set our content calendar, make sure all of our events are published in the newsletter, make sure the local media is, you know, the whole thing that you can get into. Make sure they understand how they're People of Action, right? It's not that we as Rotary are People of Action. How is this club specifically People of Action? Every Thursday we pack baby book bags. Every Friday we deliver food to wherever. Like, those stories are what you want that committee to be focused on, because then they're going to be on the right foot. So we've had a lot of committees or public image chairs that, you know, they're very well intentioned, they're doing all they need to do, but they just can't get a thing to start on. And that's all, that first success is really important. So with everything opening back up, if you have clubs that are struggling, this is a great, like, soft challenge to them. And offer the support and resources. I know you guys all do. I know you all do. So, all right, this is mine. I know that, you know, you've all seen these People of Action campaigns, but it makes you ask, what the heck, what's that? And a lot of people ask me when I show it to them, they're like, oh, tell us your Rotary story. And that's helpful. All right, so here's our friends all on the island. I know we've only gotten about through half of our time, but I did want to do some Q&A and maybe some problem solving with you guys. But look, Sophia was the Rotarian of the group, if you didn't know. So, but anyway, but I think that there's some good in this. And I know that if we take that coaching mentality and building these folks as teams, not, you know, donning and knighting an individual as the image chair, you're going to get more out of them, and it's going to transfer. Because what have we seen, right? If you are now the public image person, it gets overwhelming because there's an unlimited amount of work to do, right? You could do this forever for your club. But if we take a more team-centered way of going about this, I think we're all going to get more success, and then we can all work our way up, do our Rotary work, and get more out of it. So, I hope that was helpful in your team building. I do encourage you guys to be more specific with team building and challenging with it. But with that, last thing, we need to talk about Flair. If anybody likes Office Space, this is from that movie. I think Renee's the only one that's gotten any of my jokes. Master brand, right? Looks like that, and the mark of excellence looks like that. And this is very confusing to a lot of people. And pay attention in the brand guidelines, because I get a lot. I know we all in this committee see a bunch of stuff. Just keep it clean. It looks way better clean. It looks more modern clean. When you start junking these things up, it makes us all look silly. Just be aware of that. And thank you for helping us coach these people into getting it right, because when we're all represented right, there'll be a lot more people interested in this thing called Rotary. So, all right, I think I have yammered on enough. There's Alex the Elder and our team. Let's open it up for some Q&A and my fellow team members to see what our team has. Ashley, Alex, anything to add that I missed?
I think I'm wearing Joe's hat, not mine. That's not my hat. Is that Joe's hat?
It's my turkey hunt hat.
Mhm.
Joe, the one thing I was going to share today, because I know for a lot of us, especially if you're a district PI chair, right now is when you're freaking out to see how many of your club PI chairs will actually either stay club PI chairs, or if you're going to have to bring new people in. And so I wanted to give everyone just a quick snapshot of what I'm doing for my district to try to ensure that people, we know who they are, or hopefully convincing them to stay on and build their team out. Is I have postcards. Oh, sorry, the weird background is going to be weird. But anyways, they're just people of action postcards. And I'm sending them to all the president-elects in our district and all the current PI chairs to basically say, like, are you ready for next year? Let's go. If you're not staying on board, you know, if you need help finding someone, let me know. Like, we're happy to chat. So again, just finding different ways, because we know it's hard to build. We know it's hard to find one person at a club or a district level. We know it's even harder to build a team, and we can use all the tips that Joe gave us today, but I'm trying to be a little innovative and reach them in a different way, since we're all glued to our computers. Who doesn't love getting a good postcard? So just a tip. They're super cheap. Print them through Canva for like 20 bucks.
Hey, Joe, stop sharing the screen for us, will you? If you're done, are you done? Is there another hat we got to look at? Okay. Oh, we got more? I'm sorry. You're muted, big fella. You're talking through your hat.
Sorry, I lost my toolbar. All right. So thank you, Alex. I know we only took up about half that time. You know when you lose your toolbar, you know how it
Yeah, it happened to me just a couple hours ago.
Let me open it up a little bit to ask, what are some ways that the crew here has had success getting people onto, you know, these public image teams? I just think that's a little softer way of asking than like, hey, Joyce, you're in charge of this now completely, and it's your baby, and just go with it. And here's all these books, go figure it out. Like, has anybody had some success stories or some good approaches that have worked with just kind of getting people into the fold of these public image teams? Because I think it's been intimidating a little bit to new people, but go ahead.
Hi,
Somebody,
this
there you go.
Tina?
is in District 6960, and I'm the incoming PI chair for the next 3 years at our district. And the thing that I did to try to find team members with very specific skills is I used DACDB, and I went in under their profession, you know, experience tab, and I searched specifically for public relations, communications, television, radio, newspaper, publishing, advertising, any keyword I could think of. And I pulled up about 25 solid hitters. And some of them have come on board already and are already starting projects with me. And others are sort of sitting back to wait and see what happened, because we're one of those districts that had PI chairs turnover for like 3 years in a row, and they dropped the ball mid-year for whatever reason. And it's just not had any consistency. So most of our clubs do not have communication chairs. I only found 3 clubs out of 50. So just getting those in place right now is my biggest challenge, in getting the presidents to make that commitment and explaining to them why they need it and how it's going to benefit their year and their scorecard.
Good points. Very good addition there. Yeah, using
Yep.
DAC TV is a great idea. Renee?
I asked Vanna, what did your district governor say to you to make you be the PI chair?
Oh, well, this is simple. Andy and I are dive buddies. So we're chatting over lunch, and we really have a very similar way of thinking, and we're dive buddies. And we were talking about my concerns about public relations, and I kept hearing about after the fact. It's like, why didn't anybody tell me about this? Why didn't anybody? I was so angry when I first learned how much I was missing out on. And I said, okay, if nobody else is going to do this right, so help me, I am.
Boy,
So
isn't that just a Rotarian thing to say?
so I just at his arm and I said, listen, you need me.
That's a really good point, man. Thank you so much for sharing. That was good. Desi, Ashley, did you have something?
I just want to reiterate, as someone who does this kind of work for a living, sometimes I don't want to do this kind of work. I love doing it for Rotary, but I get asked to do a lot of things in that sphere because, like, oh, you do it all the time. And so I think it definitely is helpful to look and approach those people. The other tip I would say is if you follow Rotarians personally and they do a really good job of either promoting other organizations, their business, or whatever else, they may not be in the profession of PR or marketing or communications, but they tend to just gravitate towards using those tools, especially social media. It's a nice way to pull in other people as well, to give people various things. So I think it's great to use DAC TV, but I think just like everything else, it's taking a few approaches. My club, I posted this a little bit earlier, but my club's biggest PI, we're a 200-person club, and the biggest champion we have is a 75, 78-year-old man. He does so much, and no one would have thought to ask him, right? But he just loves it personally, and that's what he spends his time doing. So I think it's just finding that balance and putting a little plug in for those of us who are already glued to our phones to not be glued. I run 15 Facebook pages, and I just don't say no very well. But that's because I do it for a living. So I think it's the flip side. It's finding people that do it for a living, but also just love it personally because it's a good blend of talent.
That's a good point, Ashley. And I think that also, especially for technicians, right? Like you have a lot of technical skills in your background. I think that it's important not to assume, and perhaps like, let's say, and Ashley, we have some other trainings coming out on this with content calendars and creating templates and a lot of these things, right? We always talk about don't reinvent the wheel. If you have a skilled person, use them to the point that they're doing their skill set. So if I make a terrible flyer, it saves her 2 hours because then I send it to her and it takes her 5 minutes to fix, not she has to completely reinvent it. So use your teams to their best skill sets and what they like to and want to do, because the last thing you want to do is bring a creative in that's already at their wit's end and be like, oh, you're going to do videos for us and you're going to do video editing and content creation, and just assume somebody can do that. Because I don't know. I know Alex loves flying planes, but if I got him off a plane and like, hey, buddy, let's go fly some planes, he might, I don't know, maybe he probably would, but you guys know what I mean. So I know I ran a little quick. I do talk very fast, so apologies on that. But I don't know what. Alex, go ahead, sir.
I think another opportunity to find a public image team member would be someone that just really enjoys and is very comfortable standing up in front of that 200 or 10 member audience. Some people just don't like standing up and talking in public, and others are very accomplished at it. And I think if you find somebody that's comfortable at it, that also is a Rotarian and also even has a slight understanding of public image, you can teach that person the public image niche, and they can stand up and be an amazing mouthpiece for you. And that's a positive comment, not a negative one. as we move out of COVID and get back into large scale pets, you know, the Chesapeake pets or Florida's pets, and Vanna, if I understand it right, you're down in the Naples area, Fort Myers, is that right? Vanna?
I'm actually in Sarasota. Our district goes from Bradenton, north of Bradenton, all the way down to Marco Island and about halfway into the state. So it's a big turf.
And we appreciate you joining. I just wanted everybody else to understand that we have a guest from Florida with us, and she's participating, and that's a huge compliment to us, and because we kibitz and we lean into Marshall Butler's stuff down in Zone 34. So thank you for joining us today. We appreciate that.
Absolutely, I'm a fiend for knowledge.
Well, appreciate that. The point I think though is don't overlook a public speaker.
Right.
At some point, right? And don't overlook someone that simply can type texts for you and newsletter stuff. They don't have to be the editor of the local paper to do that. So, Joe?
Well, Alex, I'm sorry, I'm done. Oh, go ahead, Corinne.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Alex had brought it up before about the importance of good pictures, good photography, and good action pictures and stuff. And it's funny because everybody's a photographer now with their phones, but a lot of people have all different perspectives on what makes a good picture. So the more people you can encourage, it seems like to send you pictures of events, the better.
That's a really good point, Karen, and thank you for bringing that up. And when you guys are doing your trainings or talking to your clubs, don't be apologetic in reminding them you're all on the PI team. It's just to what degree you're on the PI team, because we all represent Rotary and we all are the face of Rotary, all of us. Mine unfortunately looks like this, but that's okay. We're working through it, but you guys get what I mean, right? We're all the face of Rotary and we all have to tell this story. And if we're all taking pictures, and hey, Renee's going to do the post, but if we're all helping her get the pictures during the meeting, saves her a little bit of time, right? So we're all on this team, and we need to educate the clubs in how that flow works. And it is new for clubs. They're not used to everybody send Ashley pictures because she's the one that's doing the post or whatever. They don't know who's who. So we really need to do this level of education because it is a new thing, right? Clubs were never set up as marketing companies in this capacity, and we had to do it. We have to learn social media, modern, media engagement. It is the way of the future, but we can all make it easier on ourselves if we just let everybody help us. So that's a really good point, Karen. Thanks.
Quanta, I see you have your hand up.
One thing, you were talking about speakers. I was the speakers committee and I ended up being the only person. But because of my connection, I'm also a member of the Baha'i Faith and I have global friends all over the world. So we were able to get speakers from Fiji, Ukraine, Mexico, Canada, and all over the place. And then when you advertise that, it increases participation. You can invite people who are not Rotarians. They get pretty much impressed. So that's one thing. Both you serve your club as well as you serve the community with some knowledge that the speakers share. Like we had a coral reef, we had financial, international finance and environmental issues. So, these things are, maybe that's why my club, they've been so kind to me, because the kinder they are to me, the more I want to do. I mean, Rotary is the center of my life. I love it so much. But I think because they also nourish my soul. So it works all together. It's a, think of being a Rotarian as a matrix. There's so many connections there. So, I just wanted to throw that out there, and thank you for listening to me. And I love this. This is awesome.
Wonderful point. Thank you. Well, we got a couple of minutes. Go ahead, Bob.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm delighted that I was able to find your session today. You talked about ages, and I've been involved with with Rotary for 23 years. I joined in Snohomish, Washington, District 5050, 3 years ago, and I moved into Palm Coast just 3 years ago. You know, yeah, any people at any age, I'm 88, and I can't, you know, can't believe the things I've been involved in. But you know, and what Rotary is doing with public image, and our club presidents really need to read the Rotary President Manual and look at the session dealing with public image, and look at, as incoming new club presidents, you know, look at what the club has done before, and you may have to really shake things up to get things going. You know,
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yeah, we are going to shake some things up. And I think it's fair to say, I mean, Rotary is going through a transition, and part of that transition is going to be helped by us telling everybody what's happening and what we're about. So thanks, Bob. And that was a good addition. I think our club presidents they try their best, but we want to encourage them and be a resource for them. So thank all of you. I know you guys do tons of effort in your own clubs and districts. And if you're sitting on a 4 hours or 5 hours of public image talks on a Friday, you must be committed to helping. So I appreciate the time to let me present to you. And I do appreciate it. If you ever need me, I'm just another one of our zone PI teams. You can reach out anytime. So thanks everybody. And we got a couple of minutes before our last session, which is the best of the day, in my opinion. I am so excited to see Ashley's storytelling module. We had, I think, about 250 register for it. I mean, we got to shut people off. They're trying to get into this. You guys got your tickets, so you're good, but we will see you guys at 4 o'clock. So Alex, anything to add before we wrap?
No, who can follow that? Are you kidding me? We'll see everybody at the top of the hour. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Joe. Let's see.